I came in through the side door to my parents' house and heard my uncle say, "She's just here to feel important." My mom replied, "Yeah. Poor thing thinks money makes her family." Then she turned and saw me. I said, "You're right. Which is why this family won't see another dollar from me. Ever." I wasn't supposed to come in through the side door. I usually didn't. But the front porch was blocked with those rusty folding chairs stacked up like someone had forgotten the barbecue was over 2 weeks ago. I didn't feel like dragging them out of the way, so I went around. The side door creaked like it always had, and it smelled faintly like potting soil and old paint. The house was loud. Someone had the blender going and I heard laughter. My mom's laugh and another voice, deeper, slower. My Uncle Mike. I wasn't trying to sneak in. I just hadn't gotten a chance to say hi yet. But then I heard him say it. "She's just here to feel important." There was a pause. A small one. Then my mom. "Yeah. Poor thing thinks money makes her family." I stopped just inside the mudroom, keys still in my hand. Then I walked in. My mom turned first. She went pale like she'd been caught stealing from a church basket. My uncle just looked at the floor like the crumbs on it had suddenly become interesting. "You're right," I said. "Which is why this family won't see another dollar from me. Ever." I left before anyone could respond. I wasn't going to stick around and make it easy for them to recover. What made it worse is that I'd spent the last 6 months bending over backwards for these people. Quietly. Without fanfare. My sister Megan had racked up $4,000 in credit card debt after her boyfriend skipped town, and I paid it off without telling a soul. My parents' heating system broke in October, $200, and my mom cried when I sent the money, said I was a godsend. That was just 2 months ago. But suddenly I was just here to feel important. It wasn't the first time they'd said something sideways, but it was the first time they'd said it when they thought I couldn't hear. And there's a difference. The strange part is that I didn't even feel angry. Not right away. Just empty. Like something that had been holding me upright had finally given out. I didn't go home, I went to a hotel. Not even a nice one. Just a Holiday Inn near the mall. I lay there in bed that night with the TV on mute and realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd visited them without paying for something. Groceries. Gifts. Plane tickets. Repairs. Even the wine they served at Christmas was mine. And still they managed to twist it all into something ugly. The next day I turned off my phone. Then the day after that I turned it back on. 32 messages. Most of them from my mom. 1 from Uncle Mike, just a thumbs up emoji for some reason. 2 from Megan saying call me and nothing else. And 1 from Dave. My brother. He never says much, but when he does I listen. He said, "I know they were out of line. But you disappearing won't fix it either." He was trying. But he didn't get it. I wasn't disappearing. I was changing. The thing is, I had gotten used to the idea that love had to be earned. That maybe if I just gave enough, supported enough, solved enough problems, they'd see me differently. But all it did was make them comfortable. And entitled. So I stopped answering money requests. I didn't show up to Megan's birthday dinner that month, even though I was in town. I let my dad handle the cable bill mess he'd usually ask me to fix. And when my mom called asking if I could help pay for new patio furniture before the spring sales ended, I told her no. Just no. No excuse. There was silence on the other end. Pause. Then, okay. It was the first time I'd ever heard her not argue back. And it wasn't a clean break. Nothing like that. At first they just got colder. Less warm in their texts. Fewer photos in the family group chat. Megan even blocked me for a while. But then something shifted. Little things. My dad started calling just to ask how I was doing. Not to ask for help. Just to talk. My mom texted me a photo of a pie she baked. Said she used the recipe I sent her last year and that it actually turned out okay. They didn't say thank you for the things I'd done. Not yet. But they started treating me less like a safety net and more like a person they wanted around. And I wasn't expecting that. What I was also not expecting was who tried to undo it all. Uncle Mike. He couldn't stand it. And I didn't know it yet, but he was just getting started. I didn't see it coming from him, to be honest. Uncle Mike was never really that involved in anything. He was the guy who showed up late to family events, made everyone wait to eat because he wanted to give a toast, and then disappeared with a six-pack before anyone noticed he hadn't brought a single dish. He'd float around family drama like it bored him. But apparently my change was his business. The first hint came during Easter. I hadn't planned on going. It was still too soon after the side door incident, and I was fully prepared to skip it. But Dave called and asked me to come. He said things had cooled down and that Megan wanted to talk. I knew better than to trust that completely, but I went. I thought maybe there was a chance they were ready to stop making me the enemy. Turns out they were. But Uncle Mike wasn't. It was subtle at first. He kept bringing up money. Jokes about our little Rockefeller and Stacy the sponsor. Someone mentioned taking a trip to Florida and he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Better get Stacy to book it. That's the tradition, right?" I didn't respond. I didn't have to. My dad actually said quiet but clear, "Knock it off, Mike." That was new. Uncle Mike just smiled like he didn't hear him, then poured himself another drink. Later I overheard him talking to my mom in the kitchen. I wasn't even trying to listen. I'd gone in for more water and heard my name the second I opened the door. He was saying she was letting me walk all over them now. That I was holding money hostage to get what I wanted. That I was manipulating them with silence and guilt. I stood there for a second then walked right in. My mom looked startled but she didn't say anything. Uncle Mike didn't even stop. He turned to me and said, "You think because you paid a few bills that you're better than this family?" I didn't answer. I looked at my mom. She said nothing. So I left again. That night I called Dave. Told him what happened. He sighed and said, "I think he's jealous. You're independent. You got out." He didn't. I hadn't thought about that before. Uncle Mike had been living with his girlfriend for 10 years in the same house they rented since the early 2000s. No kids. No real job. He bounced between things. Always had stories about the market or a project that never turned into anything. Maybe he needed to feel important too. But he wasn't just jealous. He was digging in. The next month my mom stopped calling again. My dad sent shorter texts. I felt the shift. It was subtle, like someone turned the temperature down a few degrees in the room, but it was there. And I knew exactly who had turned the dial. So this time I didn't just let it happen. I called my parents and asked if we could talk. Just the three of us. No family, no distractions. They invited me over for dinner. It was awkward. My mom made lasagna and kept trying to talk about the weather. Finally I said, "I know Mike's saying things to you. And I know you're listening. But you need to ask yourself why someone who doesn't even take care of his own life is so invested in managing yours." It got quiet. Then my dad said, "We know. We've just had him in our ear for a long time." I nodded. It's time to stop listening. I wasn't angry. I just felt done. That night changed something. I think they heard me for real. But Uncle Mike wasn't done yet. Because the more I stepped back, the more desperate he got to pull me back in. And the next time I saw him, it wasn't going to be words. It was going to be a full-on attempt to blow everything up. It was Megan's baby shower, her first. Hosted at a little winery just outside town, the kind of place with string lights and fake rustic charm that looks better in photos than in person. My mom had thrown herself into planning it like it was the royal wedding. Personalized favors, custom cupcakes, a diaper raffle with prizes that cost more than the actual diapers. She sent me the invitation directly. No text, no call. Just one of those pastel pink envelopes in the mail with my full name printed across it like we were pretending to be formal now. I stared at it for 3 days before RSVPing. Part of me wanted to skip it. Megan and I hadn't had a real conversation in months. But the other part, the one that still wanted to believe things could be repaired, said maybe showing up would matter. And if not for her, maybe for me. I showed up 10 minutes late on purpose. Just enough time for the crowd to settle and the attention to shift off arrivals. I slipped in, gave Megan a hug, complimented her dress, handed over a gift card tucked inside a designer onesie, and found a spot at the edge of the main table. Dave and his girlfriend were there. So was my mom, beaming like this was all some grand performance she'd choreographed. Then I saw Uncle Mike, propped up near the drinks table like he was running the place. 2 glasses of red already down, laughing too loud at something no one else found funny. I didn't say hi. Neither did he. Everything went smoothly, surprisingly. The games were the usual kind of dumb, the food was decent, and Megan actually looked happy, glowing in that tired, swollen, baby-on-the-way kind of way. For a while, I let myself believe the tide had turned. Then without warning, Uncle Mike stood up. No introduction. No transition. Just rose from his chair, wine glass in hand, and said, "Before we get to the gifts, I just want to say something about family." A few people clapped awkwardly. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. It was the tone of a man who couldn't be happy unless he felt superior. He started slow, like he was building up to something. He talked about how family means showing up. How it's about real love, not financial transactions. How some people think giving money makes them saints, but it just makes them loud. I felt my whole face go cold. He never said my name, but every sentence had my fingerprints all over it. Megan kept her eyes down. My mom started fussing with a napkin that didn't need fixing. My dad didn't move at all. And I just think, Uncle Mike finished, that if we want to raise this next generation right, we have to remember what actual connection looks like. Not guilt. Not leverage. Just family. He sat down like he'd solved world peace. No one clapped. The air was stiff. Then Dave muttered, "Jesus Christ." I stood up. I didn't look at anyone but him. I said, The only person in this room using guilt is you." He smiled like it was a joke, but no one was laughing. "You don't get to stand up and rewrite the narrative because you feel threatened. I gave because I wanted to. I helped because no one else would. But you show up when it's convenient and act like you've earned a say." I turned to my parents. "He's been trying to wedge himself into this for years and you've let him. But he doesn't add anything. He doesn't help. He doesn't support. He just talks." I paused, but no one stopped me. I'm not going to keep defending myself for doing the right thing just because he couldn't do it himself. If you keep letting him steer this family, you'll lose more than you realize. I didn't wait for a reply. I left. Clear. Done. Back home I ignored my phone. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want more words. I wanted proof that someone in that room understood what just happened. The next morning my dad called. I almost didn't answer. But I did. He said, "Your mom and I talked. We asked Mike to give us space. He's not welcome at family events for a while. We've let him say too much for too long." I didn't say anything for a second. Then he added, "We see it now. And we're sorry." That hit harder than anything Mike could have said. Later that week Megan texted. Short. Simple. "Thanks for showing up. That couldn't have been easy." Then the second message. "He always talked down to me too." It wasn't closure. Not yet. But it was something. And for the first time in years I felt like maybe I hadn't lost my family. Maybe I just stopped letting someone else control it. After the baby shower I assumed the usual silence would return. Our family had this pattern. An explosion, some uncomfortable fallout, then radio silence until someone needed something or pretended to forget. I was ready for that cycle. I had even started preparing myself for another 6 months of polite distance. But that's not what happened. Instead my mom called 3 days later, casually like nothing had gone down. She asked how work was, told me the peonies were blooming early this year, and mentioned some British crime show she'd gotten into, half because she liked it and half because the actors talk funny. That was it. No mention of Uncle Mike. No awkward apology hidden in a ramble. Just a conversation. Then she invited me over. Just for lunch. Nothing dramatic. She made sandwiches and we sat outside on the deck. It felt strange and familiar at the same time. My dad popped in halfway through to say he was glad I came. Again, no strings attached, no hidden requests. I waited for the ask, but it never came. The next week they invited me to a backyard movie night for my dad's birthday. Megan was there too, waddling around with her third trimester belly like she owned the yard. She actually handed me a gift bag. Inside was a little white onesie that said "Cool Aunt" in gold lettering. She smirked and said, it was either that or financial sponsor. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because for the first time in a while, it felt like we were laughing with each other. Not at me. They kept inviting me to things. Small things. Sunday dinners. A random Wednesday ice cream run. My mom started texting me photos again. Her flowers, the cat sleeping in weird places, screenshots of recipes she wanted to try. My dad even called me after a dentist appointment just to say the hygienist remembered me and still asked about the one daughter who moved to the city. Then came the invitation I didn't expect. A long weekend at Lake George. I thought it was a mistake at first. I actually waited for a follow-up text with, "Sorry, wrong Stacy," or some explanation like, "We know you probably can't make it, but we felt we should invite you anyway." But instead it said, "We'd love for you to come. We're renting 2 cabins. No pressure to pay for anything. Just be there." I offered anyway. Old habits die hard and my mom said no. "This one's on us." That hit me harder than I wanted it to. Not because I couldn't afford it, but because they didn't expect me to. That's when I really started to believe maybe they were trying. Maybe calling out Mike had peeled something open in their heads. Or maybe they were tired of pretending too. But of course the minute I started to relax he slithered back in. A week before the trip I got a call from an unknown number. I assumed it was spam or a work thing, but I picked up. It was Uncle Mike. He didn't even say hi. He said, "You think they've changed? You think this is real?" I stayed silent. Then he said, "They're playing you. They always were. But sure, keep showing up like it's a Hallmark movie." I hung up. 2 minutes later he sent a text. One photo. It was a screenshot of a group chat. Between him, my mom and Megan. My name was there. The message from my mom read, "She acts like she's doing us favors. I'm starting to feel like we're just part of her charity project." Dated 2 weeks before the baby shower. My stomach dropped. I sat there staring at it for a long time. It didn't surprise me, not really. But the timing did. 2 weeks before they started inviting me back in. 2 weeks before the "we want you around" messages. Made me wonder, was any of it real? I didn't reply. Not to Mike. Not to my mom. Not even to Megan. I screenshotted it. Not out of spite. just because I needed a reminder of where I really stood. I thought about not going on the trip, ghosting the whole thing and letting them wonder why. But then 3 days later Megan called me. Not a text. A full phone call. That alone was unexpected. She didn't waste time. Mike's been reaching out to everyone. He sent me that same screenshot. He wants a reaction. I didn't say much. I wasn't sure where she was going with it. Then she said, "We confronted Mom." I froze. She admitted it. Said she was angry when she wrote it. That she didn't mean it. That she felt stupid after. I told her she needed to be honest with you. And with herself. I stayed quiet. Then Megan said, "We want this trip to be real. Not just another fake gathering. We're tired of pretending everything's fine." We told her if she wants to fix this she has to say it out loud. All of it. I exhaled. Not because it fixed anything. But because for the first time it wasn't me doing the work. And I realized something else right then. Uncle Mike wasn't trying to warn me. He was trying to blow up something he wasn't invited to. He was losing control of the one thing he had left. Being the puppet master in other people's lives. And at Lake George he was about to find out just how far out he really was. I drove up alone. It was a 4-hour trip from where I lived and the entire time I kept flipping between two feelings. One was cautious hope. The kind where you're almost afraid to let yourself want things to go well. The other was a numb kind of suspicion, like I was walking into a trap and everyone else had already rehearsed their parts. The cabins were nicer than I expected. Real wood, not the prefab kind. A fire pit in the middle, 2 hammocks swaying even though there wasn't any wind. Megan waved when she saw me pull in. Her ankles were swollen and she was balancing a plate of grapes on her belly. "You made it," she said like I was the guest of honor. Everyone acted normal. No tension, no strange silences. My dad grilled burgers. My mom asked about work. Dave made fun of the fact that I still couldn't start a campfire without YouTube. It almost felt like a family again. Until night 2. After dinner my mom asked if we could talk. Not walk. Not, help me with the dishes. Just talk. We sat on 2 wooden chairs near the water, the others pretending to roast marshmallows while clearly trying to eavesdrop. She said, "I know you saw what I wrote." I nodded. I was angry. Not at you, not really. At myself. For letting it get to a place where it felt like everything you gave came with a price even though it didn't. She paused. "I think I resented needing you," she said. "And instead of dealing with that I made you the problem." I wasn't expecting her to be that blunt. Then she pulled something out of her hoodie pocket. A folded piece of paper. I wrote it down. In case I couldn't say it right. It wasn't long. A paragraph. Just her trying to own what she said in that message and explain what she really meant. She handed it to me and said I didn't have to read it now. I put it in my jacket pocket. We sat in silence for a while watching the water move. It was cold. Not freezing but sharp enough to make the moment feel more real. Then Dave came over and said we should come inside. Megan was tired and he wanted to start a movie. We all ended up crammed on the couch, half asleep, halfway watching some action film my dad picked. It was peaceful. Something I didn't think I'd feel again with them. Until Mike ruined it. At 9:42 p.m. my phone buzzed. It was a group message. "Mike, funny how fast people forgive when they think someone might cut them off again." Attached was a photo. Me and my mom from earlier. Sitting by the water. The angle was from behind a tree. He'd been there. Watching. I stood up without a word and walked outside. My heart was pounding, not from fear, just from rage. I scanned the trees, the gravel road, the space between the cabins. Nothing. I called Dave out. Showed him the message. Within 10 minutes everyone was outside. My dad called Mike. No answer. Then Megan did something none of us expected. She opened the family group chat, the one Mike was still in, and posted the photo he sent. Then she wrote, "This is what obsession looks like. We're done letting you poison everything." My mom didn't stop her. My dad just nodded. And then, my mom removed him from the chat. Just like that. Walked. Gone. It was quiet for a long moment. Someone started the fire back up. I sat back down in one of the chairs by the water and pulled out the note my mom had written. I read it. It wasn't perfect. But it was enough. And as I sat there, wrapped in a blanket Megan had tossed at me before going inside, I realized something. I didn't feel like I had to earn my place anymore. And maybe for the first time they didn't feel like they had to apologize for keeping me in it. 6 weeks later I got the invite. A simple email. Subject line, "Family reunion. Finally making it happen." Sent from my dad's address, but I knew my mom had typed every word. There were emojis. She definitely typed it. They were renting out a local park pavilion, ordering food from the same Italian place we used to go to after graduations, birthdays, and the one retirement party for a cousin who ended up going back to work 2 months later. There was even going to be a karaoke machine, which was mostly for my Aunt Lydia, who sang like she believed the key didn't matter as long as you meant it. I didn't respond right away. I stared at it for a full day. Not because I didn't want to go, but because I wasn't sure what it would mean if I did. So much had happened in the last few months. I'd drawn boundaries for the first time in my life. I'd stood up to people I used to tiptoe around. I'd stopped rescuing people who never even said thank you. And slowly my family started seeing me differently, not as their walking ATM or the girl who moved to the city and came back with guilt in her pockets, but as someone worth listening to. I didn't want to ruin that by stepping into another big messy event where things could spiral again. But something in me felt calmer now. Less reactive. Like I finally had a handle on what I would, and wouldn't, let happen. So I said yes. I showed up with nothing in my hands. No trays of store-bought desserts. No stack of gift cards. Just me in jeans and a tank top with sunglasses and an old lawn chair I found in my trunk. And for the first time that felt like enough. The pavilion was full. Cousins I hadn't seen in years, toddlers running around, distant relatives who only knew me as Tina's daughter who lives in Boston. Megan was there, holding the baby who looked like a tiny red-faced burrito with hair. Dave waved me over to a picnic table stacked with soda cans and half a cake that already had fingers in it. It was chaos. But the good kind. My mom came over not long after I sat down. She didn't make a scene. She just handed me a plate of food and said, "Try the eggplant, I think it's actually decent this time." No apology. No big talk. Just an offering like a normal mother to a normal daughter. And then something unexpected. My dad stood up on a bench. Everyone groaned, thinking he was about to make a corny speech or start a toast no one asked for. But he said, "Hey, just real quick. I want to say something." People quieted. He looked over at me. "This year's been weird. A lot of old stuff came up. But I'm glad it did. Because sometimes you don't fix what you don't face. And I think we're finally facing it." He raised his plastic cup of soda. "To doing better. And to the people who kept showing up, even when we didn't deserve it." A few people clapped. Some awkwardly. Some with real feeling. I didn't move. Just nodded once. No one mentioned Uncle Mike. He was the ghost no one wanted to summon. Later, Megan sat next to me, baby asleep on her shoulder, and said, "I think this is the first reunion I've actually enjoyed." I looked around. No tension. No whispered drama. Just bad karaoke and overcooked CD. "You think this is real?" I asked her. He shrugged. "Feels more real than it's ever been." I believed her. Not because everything was perfect, but because it didn't need to be anymore. That day didn't fix everything, but it marked something. A shift. A soft closing of a chapter I'd been trapped in for years. I used to think I had to buy my way into love. Prove myself to people who didn't want to understand me. No. I just show up. And the people who matter, really matter, they show up too.